A bug sat inside of one of the most secure operating systems on the planet for 27 years.
Nobody found it. Not the auditors, not the researchers, not the people whose job it was to look.
An AI found it in an afternoon.
And then it figured out how to use it. The bug was sitting inside OpenBSD, one of the operating systems security researchers actually trust since 1997, through every audit, every pen test, every researcher who made it their job to find things like this. 27 years.
And the model found it in what, hours?
That's what nobody has a good answer for yet, because the finding it problem is basically solved. You can throw a model at a codebase and it will surface things that human teams missed across decades of looking.
The part that changes the math, though, isn't the single bug, it's the chaining.
Right, so a single vulnerability is usually just a door that's slightly ajar. What actually lets an attacker in is finding 4 or 5 of those and connecting them in the right sequence. That used to require a small team of people who'd spent years learning how systems break.
Red teams, the elite ones, the people who spent years learning how systems break so they could prove the breaks were real. There have never been more than a few hundred of them at any given moment.
Now a model can do it, not just find the vulnerabilities, but construct the chain. Here's the flaw, here's the second flaw, here's how you walk through both of them into the system, a working attack assembled automatically.
So the skill that was rare is now cheap, which means the number of people who can run a sophisticated attack just went up by a lot.
And the defenders are still operating on the old timeline. You find a bug, you write a patch, you test it, you deploy it, and somewhere in that process, another one gets found. That cycle was already slow when attackers were human.
Now the finding is instant and the fixing is still months. That gap is the window, and it's getting wider every time one of these models improves.
The OpenBSD team is good. If anyone can move fast, it's them. But this isn't really a story about one operating system.
Every piece of critical infrastructure runs on software with code that's been sitting there since the 90s. Power grids, hospital systems, financial networks, all of it written by people who retired before any of this was possible.
And the open question is whether you can use the same models to accelerate the patching, find the bug, generate the fix, test it. Automated on the defensive side too.
Some teams are trying. Google's Project Zero has been experimenting with it. But there's an asymmetry baked in. Attacking is easier than defending. It always has been. You only have to find one way through.
And right now, the thing that finds the way through just got a lot faster than the thing that closes it. Someone sent a journalist a scam email that mentioned his specific AI newsletter by name, not a newsletter category, his newsletter, and a robotics project he follows that most people have never heard of, and a fake DARPA backstory built around his exact professional history.
Which is not how scam emails work. Scam emails are supposed to be obvious. Nigerian prince, urgent wire transfer, bad grammar. The whole theory is that the obviously fake ones filter out anyone smart enough to push back, so only the most gullible people respond.
That theory only works when scammers can't afford to do real research. A human spending hours profiling one target to write one personalized email, the math doesn't work. You'd spend more than you'd steal.
But an AI can do that research in seconds, and not just find the information, synthesize it into something that sounds like it came from someone who's been following your work for years.
The journalist tested 5 different AI models, gave them his public profile, and asked them to write a convincing phishing email targeting him specifically. Some of them were bad at it. Some were disturbingly good.
The scary ones didn't just use the information they found. They built a plausible narrative around it. The fake DARPA backstory wasn't just invented, it was invented to be credible to someone with his background. That's a different kind of threat than just getting your name right.
What makes phishing work is the moment where something lands and you think, this person actually knows me. That feeling used to require a human on the other end who actually did the work.
Now it requires someone who knows your LinkedIn exists.
And LinkedIn is public. Everything it needs is already out there. The Pentagon figured that out too. The US military is running a Bitcoin node right now, not studying it, not monitoring it, actually running one, participating in the network the way any individual with a laptop could.
Bitcoin, at its most basic, is a digital currency that runs on a global network of computers with no central authority. No bank, no government controls the ledger. A Bitcoin node, for anyone who hasn't set one up in their garage, is basically a computer that joins the Bitcoin network, validates transactions, and helps keep the whole system running. It's how the network stays decentralized. Thousands of these nodes all over the world, no single point of control.
Which is exactly why the Pentagon is interested. A four-star admiral just told Congress that Bitcoin has, and this is a direct quote, incredible potential for American power projection against China.
A four-star admiral said that to Congress. About Bitcoin. There's a version of that sentence that would have ended a career 15 years ago.
The logic being that Bitcoin is a financial network no government can shut down, no central bank, no SWIFT clearinghouse, no choke point. China has been systematically building leverage over the global financial system for years. Alternative payment rails, bilateral currency agreements, infrastructure investments that come with financial strings attached.
And Bitcoin is the one financial network where none of that works. China banned it, tried to kill it twice. The network just routed around the ban and kept going.
So the military's interest isn't about holding Bitcoin as an asset or paying soldiers in crypto. It's about what a financial network that no one can freeze or redirect means when you're operating in places where China has spent years building financial leverage.
The technology was designed specifically to resist government control, and now a government is treating that resistance as a feature it wants to deploy.
What nobody's mapped out is whether a network built to resist governments can actually survive two of them pushing on it from opposite sides at the same time, and which one moves first to find out.
A few more worth knowing.
The James Webb Space Telescope just pointed at a dying star 10,000 light-years away and found it surrounded by buckyballs.
Which sounds like a joke but isn't. Buckyballs are hollow carbon molecules shaped exactly like a soccer ball, and nobody fully understands how stars make them.
Webb got closer than we'd ever been to watching that process happen, and the images are already showing structures the researchers weren't expecting.
Which means every answer is just opening more questions.
The structures we're seeing now are breathtaking. That's a direct quote from the team.
When scientists use words like that, it usually means they have no idea what they're looking at yet.
12 governments just issued a joint warning that China has been quietly turning home routers into a spy network.
Not military hardware, not government servers. Your router, the one sitting in the corner of your living room.
China-linked hackers have been hijacking everyday devices, small office routers, home networking equipment, to disguise where their attacks are coming from. The traffic looks local because it is local.
Which makes attribution almost impossible.
12 governments coordinating on a single warning is unusual. That doesn't happen over a minor concern.
And the more devices we connect, the more surfaces there are to hide inside.
The Pentagon just asked for $54 billion for autonomous drone warfare in a single budget request. That's a 24,000% increase from last year.
For context, that's more than half of the UK's entire defense budget in one line item.
And the people who've actually tested these AI systems, including Pentagon testers, keep finding serious flaws in the most advanced versions.
So the question isn't whether we're building AI-powered war. That's already decided. The question is what happens when a system with a serious flaw is making decisions nobody can reverse fast enough.
The spending is outrunning the answers.
A professional table tennis player watched a robot hit a backspin shot, a shot where the ball spins backward as it travels, making it behave unpredictably on the bounce, and said it was physically impossible.
Then the robot did it again.
Sony's Robot Ace just beat elite players in official matches, not practice matches, official ones. Spin shots, net shots, the reflexes that have made ping pong one of the hardest problems in robotics for decades.
Because table tennis isn't about strength or endurance. It's about reading spin in milliseconds and responding before your body has finished deciding.
That was supposed to be the human part.
The robot didn't care what it was supposed to be.
Tomorrow's already full.
It usually is by this time of night.
Something's always breaking or being built or quietly falling apart somewhere.
And we'll find it.
See you then.
Singularity Pulse is for informational purposes only. Nothing here is financial, legal, or professional advice. Views expressed are our own.
I'm Knox. Every Saturday on Pulse Deep Dive, one story, the history, the present, and what comes next. Find it wherever you listen.
Origins is a different kind of show. Every Sunday, we investigate the forces that shape the modern world, the geography, the science, the commerce, the decisions made centuries ago that are still playing out today. Find it wherever you listen to this podcast.